Lena came home a day early. She wanted to surprise him. The apartment was too quiet. Lights dimmed. Bedroom door half opened. She heard voices. A woman's laugh. A moan. She stepped closer and saw them. Marcus and his ex, wrapped in the sheets they picked out together. He didn't see her. Not at first. When he did, his face turned white. Lena didn't scream, didn't cry. She just stood still. Then she turned around, walked out, and closed the door behind her. The silence she left behind was louder than any fight. Back in the living room, Lena opened her laptop. Joint account, $42,000. Mostly hers. Mostly saved through skipped dinners and sleepless nights. She transferred every cent to a private account. Click. Got. Done. She packed with calm precision, essentials only. No framed photos. No keepsakes. No goodbye kiss. Just her name on the lease. And the money he never earned. She left the engagement ring on the counter, facing up, then pulled a sticky note from the drawer and wrote one sentence. I hope she's worth starting over from zero. She stuck it on the fridge and walked away. At 2:14 a.m., Lena boarded the last train out of the city. No destination in mind. Just distance. 7 years gone in a single night. No messages. No calls. Just clean air and a clear mind. She stared out the window as the skyline disappeared. Her heart ached, but her hands were steady. This wasn't rage. It was rebirth. She had carried him through med school, bills, 2 states, and he chose to climb back into his past. Now it was her turn to write the future, alone. Lena landed in a small town where no one knew her name. She rented a month-to-month apartment above a bookstore. Day 1, she applied to every freelance gig she could find. Within a week, she was writing ad copy for startup brands. It wasn't glamorous, but it was hers. Every cent she earned felt like a middle finger to the past. She ate cheap noodles and worked late, but she smiled more than she had in years. The silence wasn't empty anymore. It was hers. She didn't need luxury. She needed space to breathe. And for the first time in forever, she was breathing. 2 months later, the phone rang. A number she knew too well. She let it go to voicemail. Then another call came. Then 10 more. Texts started pouring in. From Marcus. From his mother. Pice. Even his ex. He had just seen the bank statement. The note she left? He finally read it. You can't just vanish, he said in a voicemail. We built this life together. She almost laughed. Then deleted it. He built nothing. She had funded their dreams. Now he could build from zero, just like she had to. Lena didn't answer. Her silence said everything. 3 months in, Lena opened her first business account. She launched a one-woman branding agency, small but powerful. Clients loved her clarity, her edge, her calm fire. She named the company Start From Zero. Every invoice carried the reminder of where she began. Her reputation spread fast, clean work, sharp results. She worked in cafes, at kitchen counters from rooftops. She was rebuilding, not out of spite, but out of freedom. Marcus? A ghost in the rearview now. Lena wasn't running anymore. She was rising. 6 months later, Lena walked into a networking event in downtown Portland. Her agency had tripled in size. Clients were flying her in from across the coast. No one there knew her backstory, just her results. She wasn't Marcus's girlfriend anymore. She was a brand, a force. People leaned in when she spoke, took notes, asked her to lead panels. She wore her confidence like armor, polished and earned. Success didn't erase the past, but it made space for something better. Then, across the room, she saw him. Same nervous smile, same eyes that once held her future. Marcus, standing under a neon exit sign, holding a drink he hadn't earned. He crossed the room like he expected a scene. He didn't get one. "Lena," he said, like her name still belonged to him. She smiled, politely, coldly. "Marcus, but..." He started to explain about how he messed up, how he missed her, how the ex was a mistake, how he hadn't moved on. She let him talk, eyes calm and unreadable. Then she tilted her head and asked, "Did she help you start over?" He blinked, said nothing. She raised her glass. "To zero," she said, and turned away. There was no anger, no emotion, just power. Lena stepped into the waiting car, leaving Marcus behind in a room that suddenly felt smaller. She didn't look back, not even once. The driver asked if she had a good night. She said, "Perfect." She checked her phone. New inquiries, new contracts, new opportunities. The woman who once cried in the dark now closed deals by sunrise. Not because she wanted revenge, but because she wanted peace. She didn't need closure. She was the closing chapter. And as the car pulled away, she felt lighter than ever. He had betrayed her once. Now she was untouchable. The next morning, Lena woke early. No alarm, no chaos. She sat by the window with coffee and started writing. Not emails, not strategy decks, just thoughts. Pages poured out, not about Marcus, but about freedom. She didn't need to win. She needed to let go. Healing wasn't loud. It was a quiet morning and your own name on the lease. She had lost 7 years, but gained herself. That felt like balance. That felt like peace. And she wasn't giving that up for anyone. Her team surprised her with a dinner, just to say, "Thank you." No one there had known the Lena who sacrificed in silence. They only knew the leader who built something from zero. They toasted her with words like fearless, visionary, resilient. She smiled, really smiled. For the first time in a long time, it wasn't about replacing love with work. It was about filling the space with something real. These weren't rebounds. These were roots. She hadn't just left Marcus behind. She had built a life that didn't need him to begin with. Later that week, Lena walked along the coast alone. The wind was soft, the horizon endless. No timelines, no expectations, just the next step. She had once defined herself by someone else's dream. Now, she was living one she hadn't even imagined yet. She stopped and looked out at the water, not thinking of what she lost, but what she chose. She didn't need revenge, applause, or validation. She just needed this silence, this sky, this self. And for the first time, it felt enough. 1 year after walking away, Lena was invited to speak at a national branding summit. She stood at the podium, confident, self-assured, powerful. Her topic: rebuilding from zero, lessons in starting over. Oh, every sentence landed. Every head nodded. Every heart listened. She didn't mention names or betrayals. She talked about the power of leaving and the courage to begin again. Her pain had become a blueprint for others. After the speech, the line to meet her wrapped around the room. Not for gossip, for guidance. She wasn't just surviving now. She was leading. Days later, a letter arrived at her office, handwritten, no return address. It was from Marcus. No blame, no excuses, just honesty. He wrote about regret, about losing more than money. He said he was rebuilding too, slowly, painfully, and that watching her from afar gave him the blueprint he never had. At the end, he wrote, "Thank you for walking away. It taught me how to stand." Yes, yeah. She read it once, then folded it carefully. Not to reopen old wounds, but to recognize how far she'd come. He had grown. Maybe, but she had evolved. And that letter, it was closure in its cleanest form. Lena didn't write back. She didn't need to. The letter went into a drawer, not the trash. Not out of sentiment but respect for who she used to be. She no longer needed to erase the past to honor the present. Marcus' words weren't forgiveness. They were a mirror, a reminder that she wasn't defined by betrayal anymore, that she could love herself more than anyone else ever did, and that starting from zero was the best gift she ever gave herself. She closed the drawer, slowly, peacefully, and returned to a life that finally felt like hers. Lena now ran monthly workshops called Zero to Start. Each seat was filled with someone trying to rebuild. She didn't just offer strategy, she gave them a story. Not of perfection, but survival. She stood at the front, not as a victim, not as a hero, just real. Every scar became a chapter in someone else's healing. People came to her lost and left lit up. Her strength wasn't loud, it was shared. She had turned her ending into a beginning. For others too. And that was a kind of power Marcus would never understand. On a quiet Thursday, Lena unlocked the door to her first home. No help, no co-signer, no shared deed. Just her name on the title, and a key that opened everything. The place wasn't huge, but it was enough. Enough room for dreams, for rest, for peace. She walked through the empty rooms slowly, barefoot on the wood floors. Each step echoed with freedom. She smiled, then whispered to herself, "We made it." Not we, as in Marcus and her, but her and every version of herself that kept going. Every woman who ever had to start over. That night, she sat on the rooftop, legs tucked under a blanket, eyes on the stars. No music, no noise, just stillness. There was no more rage left, no grief, only clarity. She had walked away without a plan and built one step by step. She had every right to collapse, but she didn't. She stood up. She packed her things. She chose herself. And in choosing herself, she rewrote everything. She smiled up at the sky like it smiled back. Not everyone gets a clean start. But Lena? She made one, with nothing but silence, fire, and a note.